Welcome to today's topic. We are going to be talking about clean eating myths debunked. I love debunking nutrition myths, and this is a topic that I feel very passionately about because I get very annoyed when I hear people promote these like very rigid clean eating types of diets or approaches to nutrition. So we're going to be debunking 4 core myths today regarding clean eating. So when you are trying to lose weight and lose fat, it's very common to, think that you need to eliminate all the McDonald's you're eating or the Chick-fil-A or the pizza or the burgers, etc. And just eat clean. Okay. And so a lot of times people think they need to do Whole30 or they'll do paleo or they think they need to eliminate all processed food. And the problem with this way of thinking is that it really appeals to the fact that you don't have to deal with how much you are eating. So when we get fixated on a viewpoint, it tends to be because it has a payoff. And one of the payoffs of being fixated on clean eating and the quality of food you're eating is you don't have to deal with how much you are eating. It also feels right. So it can feel moral and right to you, which can create an experience of comfort and, kind of being, you can feel more secure in your attempt to reach your goals. So let's talk about why this is wrong and let's break these down. So the four myths of clean eating. The first myth is that quantity doesn't matter if you're eating unprocessed foods. Quantity doesn't matter if you're eating unprocessed foods. Have you bought into this myth? Have you thought, oh, I can, eat as much avocado as I want and achieve my goals because it's a healthy food? Okay, we're going to come back to this. The second myth that you may be falling into is thinking organic foods help you lose fat. First of all, a lot of things that are labeled organic are not actually even technically organic because the rules around labeling organic are very loose. As long as a plant could be treated with a chemical that's labeled organic if the original source of that chemical was a plant. So we need to be really astute consumers of these claims that are put on foods like, oh, it's organic. So organic helping you lose fat is another myth. Another myth is micronutrients are more important than macronutrients. Micronutrients are more important than macronutrients. It's very easy to fall into this belief that, calories don't really matter. It's really more important that you get all your vitamins and minerals, and you need to get all these, your vitamin C and your zinc, and you need to get all the right combinations of all these little micronutrients, and that's actually what causes you to lose fat. And then the last myth is that processed food is a toxic evil to your body, right? Which of these myths have you bought into or heard or seen? So let's break these myths down and let's debunk them so we can free you from these very restrictive food rules and actually talk about what's going to get you results. The first thing is quantity does matter. If you are overeating avocado and olive oil and quinoa and salmon and oatmeal and berries and almonds and nut butter and chia seeds and kale and olives, you're going to gain weight. It does not matter that it's the cleanest, most pure, unprocessed food out there. You can do Whole30 and gain weight. You could do paleo and gain weight. Ultimately, the thing that drives fat loss is quantity. Calories matter because it's physics. We have talked about the law of energy conservation and law of thermodynamics in some of my other videos, if you've watched those. And we have to understand that energy never gets destroyed. It only gets converted. The energy that you eat either gets converted into work. So literally me squeezing my hand is me burning a small degree of calories because my muscles are doing work. If I was lifting heavy weights like I did this morning or going for a walk, I would be doing more work and I would need more fuel. Or the energy that you ingest gets dissipated as heat. All right. So some people actually burn off more of the food they ingest as heat. And thirdly, it'll get stored. But energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted. And so you have to understand that that energy goes somewhere. And it doesn't matter if it's the highest quality food that you've ever eaten. If it's too much for your body, you can gain fat. Okay, the second thing is that organic doesn't affect fat storage, and organic doesn't also mean chemical free. Can be upsetting to hear about, but organic is now a marketing label, and Big Ag knows that consumers are looking for organic. So they have done a lot of things to kind of cheat the system in order to label their products organic. So chemicals derived from plants can still be used on plants and be called organic. There's a lot of workarounds that Big Ag uses to get that organic label. I have a colleague in the health industry who is actually a researcher who studies bees, and she studies beehives, and she is very knowledgeable about the agricultural industry, and she and I had a long conversation about the limitations of the organic labels. Ultimately, organic doesn't determine your fat loss. Now, you might feel better eating organic, and it might reduce potentially some toxic load to your body, but we have to be very careful when we make assumptions that eating all organic is going to dramatically decrease toxic load in the body and like magically going to just help us burn fat. If you are somebody who drinks a ton of alcohol, or you do drugs, or you ingest tons of prescription medicines, you are actually ingesting a lot more toxic load than eating some non-organic raspberries. Let's use logic and common sense here. So ultimately, organic is not affecting fat storage. The most important thing is, again, the quantity of food you're eating and the quality of the food. Okay, so which brings us to the third myth to debunk, which is that micronutrients are more important than macronutrients. Now, micronutrients are important in the function of the body, and micronutrients are important in many processes in the body. But most people are not actually deficient in micronutrients. People want to think they're deficient in something. They want it to be a quick fix. They want their wellness issues and their health issues to be something other than the fact that we live in a world that is full of decay and disease and death. That is part of the nature of human life on earth. Things decay, there's disease, and there's death. And your body actually isn't designed to go forever and ever. It is subject to those same laws of death, decay, and disease. And so people can kind of get fixated on wellness as this holy grail or an idol that's going to save them, and it's not. So it's really important that you understand that in general, in America, we do not have a micronutrient issue. Most people do not have rickets. They do not have scurvy. They do not have pellagra. These are conditions that are actually caused by true micronutrient deficiencies. If you are deficient in vitamin C, you develop scurvy. If you're deficient in vitamin D, you can develop rickets. These are conditions that did afflict many people in earlier centuries, but they don't afflict people now because we, in general, do not have micronutrient deficiencies. I took care of a lot of people in the emergency room and did a lot of labs, and most labs are normal when it comes to micronutrient intake. There might be some deficiencies, but in general, most people are not deficient in micronutrient intake. Eating a broad range of foods will typically cover your micronutrient intake. You can always take a multivitamin too to kind of bolster things, but it's very rare for people to truly be deficient in micronutrients. Okay, and that's also not the thing that's going to cause fat loss, okay? Eating a wide variety of foods in the right quantity is what causes fat loss. Okay, and then the last thing is this myth that processed food is this toxic evil that you should avoid at all costs all the time. Now, the truth is processed food in high amounts will decrease your energy, typically your vitality. It can create digestive issues. It can lead to fat gain. It can lead to potential health conditions. It can make you not feel great. But your body actually can handle a degree of processed food. All right? We get so fixated on this word of toxicity in our culture, but we have to understand that toxicity is a result of dose. So all substances can be toxic to the body. Chocolate can be toxic to the body. Broccoli can be toxic to the body. All substances can be toxic to the body if consumed in too large of an amount. Tylenol can be toxic. Alcohol can be toxic. A therapeutic medicine can be toxic. An herb can be toxic. So just because something is natural does not mean that it is not toxic. Dose determines toxicity level in the body. So your body can actually handle a degree of toxicity. That's why you are still alive, because you're handling different toxic exposure in the world. You are processing toxins. Your body is protecting you from toxic ingestion through your skin, right? Only very small molecules can actually get absorbed through the skin. So a lot of large molecules, they cannot actually get absorbed through the skin. So your skin actually protects you from a lot of toxic exposure, and your liver protects you from toxic exposure, as does your gut lining. So we want to remember that from mouth to butt is actually technically considered outside the body. From embryology, we know that the body actually starts as a embryonic plate of tissue that then rotates in a three-dimensional way to create the fetus. And this interior part is technically outside the body, meaning that it's full of bacteria, and it is not toxic to your body to have like bacteria from mouth to butt, right? If blood gets in, or if bacteria gets in your bloodstream, that is toxic to your body. That's called sepsis. So we want to understand that our body actually does a really good job of protecting us from toxins, and it's okay to have some processed food. Some processed food is not going to prevent you from losing fat. It's not going to inhibit your health outcomes either. It's really determining how much processed food can I have and how frequently can I have that. Okay, so if you're trying to lose weight, you really don't need to eat clean. You need to determine, number one, the correct quantity of food to eat for your body. You also need to learn the correct ratio of quality to play foods, and you need to learn the correct frequency of how often you can eat those lower quality play foods, right? If you love Cheetos, if you love a skinny peppermint mocha, if you love, Mexican food, if you love driving through Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A, those processed foods you can still eat, but you do need to learn the frequency and the quantity of how often that you can eat those things. This is actually what causes changes to your body composition, and it's sustainable. So sure, you could just eat, salmon and broccoli and quinoa and do that for a month and eat very little food, but is it sustainable? Most people who start Whole30, they do not stick with it. I have yet to meet somebody who has stuck with Whole30. It's just not a sustainable lifestyle, because we want to enjoy a variety of foods, and we want to expose ourselves to a wide variety of foods for nutrient intake, and also for our lifestyle, for something that is sustainable. And we also want to eat in a way that's healthy for us, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, because all of these dimensions make us up as humans. We are not just a body, we are not just a mind, we are all of these things. We are a spirit, we are a soul, we're a mind, we're a body. And so we need to understand that how we eat actually impacts all of those different dimensions of who we are as a human being. And sometimes the thing that might nurture you spiritually is to eat a cookie. And sometimes the thing that might nurture your body is to eat a salad. And so we want to approach our nutrition when it comes to fat loss in a very sustainable, healthy way. If this was helpful to you and you want to go deeper and you think that you need help with determining the right quantity to eat, the quality of food to eat, the frequency, then I invite you to apply for my coaching program, Empower. Applications are currently open, but they will close in about a week and a half for our January 10th start date. If you're interested in applying, you can send me a message on Facebook and I'll shoot you the link. You can also visit my website, heathermcconaughey.com, to apply today. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I will talk to you soon.